keep changing, but most of it remains the same from your childhood or from your adolescence.
Mountains.
We are not. It's a simple realization when we forget. Okay,
Aliens.
sometimes, most of the time when we are grown up, initial stage of career, you are driven by the salary. Later, so the moment you start realizing all these things, you start filtering people out. So uncomfortable zones only make you a better person. I believe that is where
Success.
I'm always a person who cannot get uncomfortable with something for too long. Unpleasant surprise was my.
So, folks, you have tuned into TGV and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, folks, today we are joined by a multi-potentialite, Gayatri Mohanty, and she's a mountaineer. She's a fitness coach. She does almost everything. She's so passionate, and she's a repeat guest on our platform. And we have already hosted on TGV Hindi. And before we get into the conversation, let me thank Hasvi Muriki for connecting us with amazing Gayatri Mohanty. And Gayatri, as we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, finding out your why, here's an exciting twist. So, if you're ready, I'm going to kick off the first rapid fire round with a set of intriguing words. And all you have to do is just respond to them crisply without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get started.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So, here comes the first word, curiosity.
I live with it.
Invention.
Should keep happening.
Future.
Not much. Being in present.
Book.
Anything which makes me a better person. Any book.
Mountains.
Any mountain. Anywhere.
Aliens.
Want to know more. The reality.
Leadership.
Makes a person from Janta to king.
Janta means a common public to king. Okay. All right.
Yes.
And
common public
role.
to king.
Yeah. Next is role model.
Any person who can make me learn that it can be done.
Wow. And the last one is success.
Temporary. We should not live with it.
Amazing. I loved all your responses and thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round so sportively. And there is one more rapid fire round towards the end of the episode. So stay tuned. And Gayatri, hearty welcome to TGV, the guiding voice. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you so much, Naveen, for inviting me here. And also, I want to thank Hasvi for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much, Hasvi.
All right. So let's get the ball rolling, Gayatri. We'll begin with your success mantra. So please share with our audience the top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
Persistence,
Mm-hmm.
focus, and planning the goal.
Persistence, focus, and planning the goal. Amazing. Spot on. And then, can you also talk to us about the toughest lessons that you have learned in your mountaineering journey?
Toughest lessons in the mountaineering journey is nothing is permanent when you are in mountains. So should carry the same thing while we have a thought when we are back from mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Second will be just like weather is unpredictable in mountains, so will be situations in your real life as well. So be prepared always. And third important is that minimalism, which is become very rare in nowadays. in our life has to be bought again.
Right. Wonderful. I loved it. And Gayatri, who was your guiding voice?
My first guiding voice was my father. My parents, of course, and more to my father because he was the one who always wanted me to become more than a housewife, more than a daughter, more than all roles what a woman is assigned to. So he will be first, but then my mother as well. But there will be a lot of people who have been my guiding voice in small or big part, who have, whenever I have met them and they have told me that your potential is, beyond what you're doing. So I would
Yeah.
contribute to everyone, small and
Right.
big.
Yeah. Got it. And you have had an interesting turning points in your life, right? So let's talk about your turning point in your corporate career that made you realize you needed to make a change and pursue something more aligned with your passion, right? Because all of a sudden you have shifted, right? Saying that, no, let me put a halt to my corporate career and take a different path. It is not that easy. Like if we think about it, many people will have passion, but they don't take that particular stride, right? And you have took. So what was your turning point moment?
It's a simple realization. What we forget when we start growing up is that what we like and what we are happy with and what we are not. It's a simple realization when we forget. Okay, sometimes most of the time when we are grown up, initial stage of career, you're driven by the salary. Later on, you're driven by the corporate growing up in the corporate ladder. But most importantly, in the process, we lose a lot of things what we should not be losing. Basically, we lose ourselves, our passion, our life, our time with the family, with ourselves, and everything. So when you try to equate both of the things, I think then you again get an answer that, okay, I would rather choose something which is more balancing than chasing something which is taking out everything for what I am, uh, you know, uh, for what I am actually working for.
Mhm.
So might be money is not always equated to happiness. So happiness at times is a little more prioritized if with less money in the account. So that is the only reason I thought of, taking a break from a corporate career and starting something again. And also, yes, complacency sets in. That's
Mhm.
one of the biggest thing because when you keep doing and you keep rolling and you keep growing and all, you do forget what are uncomfortable zones. So uncomfortable zones only make you a better person. I believe that is where I am always a person who cannot get uncomfortable with something for too long.
Uncomfortable zones really are the game changers, right? Yeah, wonderful. I love that statement. And let's move forward to my next one. Like, how did you discover your why? Like during the transition from a corporate job to a fitness and also this mountaineering journey.
Never discovered my why. I just
Mhm.
quit because I wanted to give time to my son. That was the guilt feeling what I had. The
Mhm.
why took a lot of time to come into my life. As you said, it takes at times very less time. It takes at times ages or years.
Right.
So why came at a very later stage, and that too also because of a lot of things happening at personal and professional or passion, even adventure, and also. So why it took so much of time? But initial transition was only to come out of the mom guilt.
Mhm.
That was the reason I opted out of corporate career. But yes, what I've always observed with myself is that if you are a person who wants to, put in all the efforts and want to achieve something, and if you do not achieve something, then you start questioning yourself, and that's where the why starts.
Right.
Okay, it's like suddenly you're going, you're trying to achieve. For me, for example, a lot of people who have so many goals, they all want to achieve, but not every time you will be able to achieve what you are seeking for. And that's where, when you have given everything for something and you're not achieving it and consistently not achieving it, that's where the question of why starts.
Mhm. Mhm. I got it. And did you ever get that feeling of regret? Array, why did I quit the job? Because having seen handsome amount in the bank and then suddenly that will decline and there might be certain situations. Okay. Did you ever get that regret?
Yeah, I only regret when my savings, start diminishing because of my passion towards adventure. So that's the only time I think that, okay, if I would have been working, then I would have, a consistent source of income in terms of a stable source of income, because as a self-employed, you don't have a stable source of income. So that is at times it comes, but most of it is not that much. I've never felt out of, when I quit, that, okay, I'm jobless now. I'm, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to, accountable for the time, because I was very busy with the house, with everything, which I was not able to give time before.
Hmm. Mhm. Got it. And these days, everybody says you need to find out your true calling, right? And I think you're the most eligible person to answer this particular question. Like, can you share the process you went through to identify your own true calling, and what advice would you give to others struggling to find their own why or their own true calling?
The true calling will never happen if you are happy with everything around you.
Hmm.
The true calling only happens when you're out of your comfortable space, when you're trying to do something which others aren't doing. You cannot be an ordinary person and looking for a true calling. You have to do little extraordinary things to find out your true calling. That word extra with the ordinary will only take you to the road of true calling. So whatever I was thinking, that this a defined job per day or per month, or as for a per me being a per lady or a person, I try to broaden that. I try to increase my bandwidth. I try to do more what my mind and body was capable as per set definitions. So that's where I started getting into understanding what exactly is true calling, and that's where exactly everyone will try to get an understanding about the true calling.
Mm, Got it. Now let's talk about the challenges part of it. Like, what are the real challenges that you faced in your life?
See, for a person, we all women. I mean, how do I? I'm not being a little feminist here, but women generally, from the generation what I belong, all of us have been. The moment we are born, we are being told, like, we are born for certain things, and we are defined. We have been told that we have to get married, we have to have children, we have to take care of all these things and all. And if you observe, most of the work, even though in spite of your working or not, it falls under the shoulders of a woman. So in this process, what happens is that you try to forget yourself, like what you loved when you were a child, what you were enjoying, and what you were loving in terms of doing certain things, in terms of sports or culture or art, anything. So whenever these things keeps happening, what happens, the biggest challenge comes is that you try to either give up, or you try to get into something which will be for a very temporary period, which will give you happiness but might not be the real value addition to your life. So those are the challenges, like for every woman of my generation, getting married was thing. Then if you are a person who is very outgoing or who loves doing experimenting new things, and if you love adventure or if you love sports, but if you are married, then you have to take care of the child, you have to take care of your job as well, you have to take care of your parents and everything. In this whole process, what happens that you kind of get so occupied with all these things that you don't get time for yourself. Now, getting time for myself is not like sitting and watching something or sitting and listening to something or something. Getting time for myself is sitting with myself and understanding what exactly I want and then working towards it. I think that thing is a process of evolvement, and that takes a little bit of time, and a lot of it is of courage, because it's a risk what you're going to take. Because if you're going to come out and do something apart from, might not be against everyone's wishes. Okay, so it needs a lot of courage and a lot of determination.
Mhm. And how was your family support during this particular time of transition?
Oh, it was initially lot of. I have always been a rebellious child, and that itself will tell everything. Because if I say rebellious, that means I've gone against everyone's wishes and lot of things, and most of the things rather. And I have done things, but later on, whenever there has been good achievements post whatever I have taken up in terms of adventure or glamour or everything, my family did understand that I do like doing those things, and I'm able to balance everything in the house and everything, and they have been supportive.
Hmm. So if it was Gayatri before transitioning, right? So people like Gayatri before transitioning. So what would be your advice to them in terms of how to convince parents or how to convince family? What will be your best piece of thing to share?
If you have got inner questioning already started at a pretty early age and you're still thinking that whether to follow the society or whether to follow your heart, don't take it till the age of 35 just like me. Try and answer that pretty early at your age
Wow,
and
love
start
it.
following that with conviction.
Good one. I loved it. All right. Now, after finding your why, right, how has your other areas in your life, like relationships and personal growth, and also the overall happiness, got impacted?
There is a lot of filtering happens when you start knowing yourself first, and
Mhm.
also knowing how you like, what are your likes, what are your dislikes, what are your strengths, and what are your weaknesses. It does definitely keep changing, but most of it remains the same from your childhood or from your adolescence. So the moment you start realizing all these things, you start filtering people out. First thing, you
Mhm.
start not only filtering, you start filtering your thoughts. You start filtering, and the moment you start filtering your thoughts, you start filtering people. You have a different eye for everything. Your way of looking at things changes, and it becomes more and more broaden than being more narrow. I would
Mhm.
put it in that way. And all these things, when it happens, is like you will see that you are doing something which usually people will not do, or usually people will not think, right? So that gets you you in a box where you're not sure the risk which I have taken, but is it worth? Will I be left with no one around me, or will I be having people around me? So that's a transition time. That time is a very valuable time, because even that period also makes you understand yourself more.
Right. Yeah. Mhm. Got it. And let's talk about some less known facts about the modeling and the glamour industry, right? So, what is one unpleasant surprise that you came across?
Uh, Unpleasant surprise was my first day of audition for Mrs. Karnataka, and I was the only one who was simply dressed among the lot. And I realized that attitude matters over looks.
And any dark secret that you'd like to share about the glamour industry?
I think there are no secrets. It's
Mhm.
always the people's way of looking at things. If you are a person, if we are living in an open country, these will not be termed as secrets. Okay, so it is because of our country we have it's termed here as secrets.
Yeah.
But everything, whatever is done, if it is done in a proper manner, I think things will be much better in the industry.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of acceptance, and there will be a lot of what do you say, acceptance for, especially for married women in the glamour industry.
Right. All right. So here comes a slightly different question here, and this is related to in today's high pressure environment. Many people struggle with mental health issues, right? So, what strategies have you found most effective in maintaining and improving your own mental well being, and how can people apply uh, within them?
The first thing is stop comparing yourself with anyone, especially on social media.
Yeah.
Our parents used to do that without the social media when we were kids, like giving us examples of our relatives or cousins or friends. And unconsciously, we start doing it once we see ourselves, putting ourselves in front of others through either, most of it is on social media, is what I say. And that's where the most of the mental health problem starts. I think if you stop comparing yourself with others and try to learn more about yourself and learn what makes you, happy, I think your mental health problems will reduce a lot.
Hmm. Amazing, amazing, Gayatri. This has been fabulous conversation so far, and it's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement to the episode. And with your consent, I'll kick off the second rapid fire round if you're ready.
Please go ahead.
All right, here comes the first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
Live in the present. Forget what has happened in the past and don't overthink about your future.
Don't overthink about the future. Awesome. And live in the present. I love it. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Myself, compassionate.
Compassionate. And what is your favorite word in any language?
Language favorite word currently is kindness
Kindness.
and gratitude. Both
All
will
right.
be equally.
All right. And if you could instantly master one skill, what would it be?
Instantly master one skill.
Yes.
How to um remain oblivion in spite of whatever your atmosphere is.
Wow. So profound. And what is your best experience in the mountains?
I cannot term that. That's a very difficult question because every experience is a learning and every experience is also a blessing, I would say, in the mountains. So it's a very difficult thing. I'll say it's the best experience. Living, going, and being there itself is a big experience. So mountain itself is equal to experience. Everything.
Okay. And if you could teleport anywhere right now, where would you go?
Mountains, of course.
All right. And here is the last one for the second rapid fire round. If you could
But
change
yes,
one
if
thing,
it will only one place, then it will be Ladakh. Teleport
Ladakh.
myself.
Yeah.
Specific will be Ladakh.
All right. All right. Good one. And here's the last one for the second rapid fire round. If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be?
If I have to change anything about the world, is like let the world go back to 50 years behind in terms of our culture and upbringing and simple things. Try to get back the simple things what it had.
Wow. Wow. Quite insightful. Wonderful. I loved all your responses. They're very creative. And let's flip back to the mainstream. So, Gayatri, what will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
Those who are trying to aspire to become make big in their careers has to be very passionate about what they want to do in their career. There is nothing more important than having passion about it, because if you have the urge to learn and without having the expectations to gain, I think everyone can go ahead in their career.
Wow. Simply superb. And I loved this conversation too. As always, amazing talking to you. And how is your experience being hosted on The Guiding Voice?
It has been wonderful, especially today's session, because I was able to convey most of it. And it was a very impromptu. I had not prepared anything. Whatever was there in my mind, I could, give it all without framing it into, something which is superficial.
Yeah, that is a skill not everyone has it. And kudos to you. You have done a fantastic job. I loved all your
Thank you.
responses and quite insightful. And I'm sure audience are going to love this episode. Perfect. All right. So thank you once again, Gayatri, and looking forward to hosting you again in future. And
Sure. Thank you so much, Naveen. Today's session was extremely nice, and especially the rapid fire ones. It gave me really a lot of creativity in my mind to think about it, and suddenly my mind expanded.
I'm glad. I'm glad it happened. All right. So thank you so much once again.
Okay.
And
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen.
thank you. All right. So, friends, that was our episode with Gayatri Mohanty. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the guiding voice, to spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now, let's hop into the trivia segment. Having had amazing conversation about finding your why, identifying the true calling, and multiple aspects of Gayatri's journey, I thought I would present you two lesser known and interesting facts about Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. You know, the golden circle concept originated from biology, which means the core idea behind Start With Why, which is also known as the golden circle, is inspired by the biology of human decision making. And Sinek relates the three components of the golden circle: why, how, and what, to the three major levels of the brain: the neocortex and the limbic brain. And the why corresponds to the limbic brain, which is responsible for feelings, behavior, and also decision making. And Sinek's insight is that great leaders and companies communicate from the inside out, which is starting with why, because they connect directly with the decision making part of the brain, which is why their messages resonate so deeply with people. Next fact is about inspiration from Martin Luther King Jr. and the Wright brothers. Simon Sinek's concept was heavily influenced by historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and the Wright brothers. And Sinek discovered that what sets these leaders apart was their ability to articulate their why, their purpose, cause, or belief that inspired them to take action. For example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous I Have a Dream speech, right? It focused on his vision for the future, not on the specifics of how to achieve it. And in fact, that has become viral before internet was so expansive. This emphasis on why over how or what has inspired millions to join his cause, right? So likewise, if you know any interesting facts related to leaders who have found their why, do let me know. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there, or if you found this episode on some social media platforms, you can comment there as well. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for being part of awesome TGV family. So folks, goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all.